I'm joined now by Vasilika Scurfield, the mother of Erik Scurfield, who was killed in 2015 as he fought with the YPG. Vasiliki, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Why did Erik, or Costa, as I know the family knew him, why was he so keen to get involved in a war that in many ways had nothing to do with him?
He felt that since most of the people fighting in Syria for ISIS many of them were British soldiers, or most were from other countries, he felt that it was our duty, or his duty at least, to redress that balance. And he felt that ISIS was a threat that, if it wasn't stopped, would spread. I mean, what would have happened if ISIS hadn't been stopped by the Kurds? We might have gone on to Jordan, Greek islands, Albania, you know, where next? They were just unstoppable at the time, and he felt that he had to step up.
And I mean, his involvement, he was, I think, doing his national service in the Greek army at the time that he formed this ambition, wasn't he?
Actually, he was in the Royal Marines here in the UK, and part of the reason why he went was disappointment when he was told by his COs that there was no chance of him going in to rescue the 10,000 Yazidi people on the mountains, stuck there, refugees really from ISIS. He was quite disgusted.
And of course the government at the time was keen to offer support to precisely the sort of militias that he ended up fighting with. They lost a parliamentary vote, which makes it all the more remarkable that the status of fighters like your son is, well, how would you describe it? It's a sort of legal limbo, isn't it, if they did, as of course...
It's not, well, it's worse than a legal limbo, because they're often criminalised when they come back. So these are guys who are fighting with coalition forces. They're getting air support from coalition forces. They are getting treated, some of them who are lucky enough, in American Special Forces field hospitals outside Manbij, for example, before that fell. So they're actually working closely with coalition forces, and they're being treated as terrorists when they come back. I understand that we have to question them to make sure which side they're fighting for and make sure they haven't committed a crime. But after that, you find some of them are let go, and some of them are criminalised and put on bail, where they have to present themselves 3 times a week for like 6 months at a time. Their families are treated disrespectfully, and it's hard.
You mentioned the families. I know that there's a sort of covert network, isn't there? But you have to be careful for 2 reasons. The first is, of course, that Islamic State's vigilance on computer networks is unknowable, but possibly considerable. And the second is you actually have to shield your family members' activities from the British government.
Yeah, it's more about privacy, I think. I think for a lot of parents it's a shock, but it is both. It is those things as well. They are soft targets for any maniac who might want to go after them, and they are at risk from being treated disrespectfully by the British government. I've got no complaints about the way I was treated. Respectfully, and I don't see why other parents shouldn't benefit from the same treatment. What
would you like the government to do, formally?
In terms of, I think that they should be stopped at the airport when they come in, asked, when they establish from their phones and from their evidence that they were fighting for the YPG, as an absolute minimum, they should just be let go, as indeed does happen. They don't have a policy across the UK to say everybody's going to be treated the same way. Half of them come in and aren't bothered at all, and half of them are come in and criminalised. It seems to be a lucky dip in police forcing or whatever.
How many British people do you think are out there on the side?
It would be a complete guess. I mean, we've been told there are up to 200 foreign volunteers from all different countries, 12 Greeks, some Chinese, people from...
12 Greeks?
12 Greeks, Chinese people from all over Europe, USA, Canada, maybe up to about 50 Brits, and at least one of them is a woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you try to stop him going?
Of course I did. The whole of the might of the British military tried to stop him going. There was no way we could.
Because he was a
determined
man on a mission?
To go. Yeah, he was determined to go.
It may be that every answer is different to this question, but what do they all have in common, do you think, all of the men and women that have gone out there?
Courage. Courage. And the strength of their convictions.
Vasilika Scurfield, many thanks indeed for your time.
Thank you.
I should say that we did ask the Home Office whether all Britons who go to fight ISIS were at risk of prosecution. In a statement, they said anyone who returns from the conflict in Syria or Iraq should expect to be reviewed by the police, and that charges would be considered on a case-by-case basis.